Hi, everyone. I'm Saleha Singh, and this is Chai, Chat, and Community, a podcast where we chat openly about what matters to South Asians, no matter which part of the world you live in. In recent years, we are hearing a lot about menopause from the medical field. What has changed? Is there a general awareness, or is it because there is more funding for research now? Meet my guest, Dr. Preeti Khillan, and together we chat about menopause, the myths, and modern medicine. Yesterday was World Menopause Day, and we are focusing on how nutrition, exercise, sleep, mental well being, and relationships can support women during and after menopause. Organizations today are using this day to raise awareness and provide resources on menopause and its impact on women's health. So today's podcast will be a mix of English and Hindi, and Preeti will share some of her insights on menopause. Thanks for joining me, Preeti.
Thank you. Thanks, Aliyah. It's a good auspicious day, and I think happy Dhanteras and happy Choti Diwali and Diwali to everyone.
And
And
to
I
you
think
too.
thank you, and it's good to chat about this very important topic.
Absolutely. So, before, can you just tell us? Many of our listeners know you, many of them are new, and surprisingly, I have a lot of listeners from overseas. So, if you can share something about yourself and why you think this is a subject that is so important for us women. Because last night, as I said, we had a Diwali dinner, and a young girl in her mid 30s asked me about menopause. And I'm like, you should watch what Preeti and I are talking about tomorrow.
Yeah, no, no, no. Thanks. Yeah, look, I am an obstetrician and gynecologist by profession. Did my initial training in India and then moved a few countries, Saudi Arabia, UK, finally settled in Australia for the last 21 years. And I am based in Melbourne, and my practice is basically in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and that is quite multicultural. I mean, the whole of
Absolutely.
Melbourne
Yeah.
is a multicultural city, but the western suburbs harbors a lot of people, Southeast migrants and people from Indian population. So
Yeah.
here I am, just talking about this very important topic.
Thank you. So let's start with what is menopause and what is the most important misconception that you see and hear in your practice.
Right. So, what is menopause? Menopause occurs in every woman's life, right? Does not distinguish between the rich,
Between sex and gender. Yes.
yeah, and rich, poor, cultural variation. So every woman has to experience menopause. So actually, in scientific terms, menopause is when a woman stops her periods for 12 months, and of course, we do a couple of hormonal tests, and when we test them, we find that hormone levels are consisting with menopause. And this is decline of the estrogen levels in the body, right? Now, this can vary, right? And it is not sudden. So, this is what I want to tell you. So, one of the myths about menopause is, oh, it happens suddenly. No, that is wrong. Menopause is a slow transition. So, there is a phase in a woman's life which is called perimenopause that
Yeah.
starts around 5 to 7 years before the onset of menopause, where woman starts experiencing changes in every body organ, and then comes to the fact that they stop their periods for 12 months and go into menopause. So every woman has to experience this. Some of the common myths, as I said, one, people think that it is very sudden, and no, there's a slow transition, and the warning signs, and you know that you're slowly getting into that phase of life. The other thing is that people think that menopause is just hot flushes and night sweats and nothing else. No, but menopause, the decline in the hormone levels in the body affects almost every organ. So it is just not those vasomotor symptoms. There are so many other symptoms associated with it. For example, heart problems and joint pains, vaginal dryness, and emotional, cognitive symptoms. So all these are, have a wide impact when woman goes into menopause. Then the other thing is women think that it's the end of femininity or vitality, and
That is what, yes, I wanted to talk about. Yes.
that is so wrong. Often we are in that phase of life when we are at the peak of our careers.
Yeah.
It takes time to build up a career, a profession, and do what you want in life. And that is the time when your body starts showing changes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, you are very vital, you're a very important person. You just have to be guided in the right direction and get the adequate support. And that is how we feel that, look, this is not the end of your vitality, but in fact, this is a new phase in life when you stop your periods. No, you're not worried about contraception anymore. Your children have, I mean, largely grown up, and
Yep.
you have to focus on yourself, your health, your well-being, and your career. Then the other thing is people think that, nothing can be done about menopause, but that's very wrong. Today in this century, we have a lot of options from, obviously changes in lifestyle, diet, and going on to medical options to treat menopause. The other important thing for everyone is women think that it marks the end of your sex life, but this is wrong. Right. There are changes in the body which can make, sex life difficult, but that's why, we need to talk about it, and then we need to have look at measures on how we can make this better. So these are some of the common myths.
I just wanted to ask you something about, because a lot has changed about the awareness in menopause. And like you said, women are at their peak if they are doing a career, if they are in a career. 40 to 50 is when, the kids have grown up, you have more time on your hands to focus on your career. However, because at times you do get slower, I know what happened to me when I had my menopause. Um, are organizations understanding the changes, and are they being supportive to women colleagues and, yeah, basically women colleagues?
Yeah, so look, I mean, that is one of the things, that menopause is being recognized in workplaces now as a very important health issue. So, Menopause Friendly Australia is obviously a non-profit organization, and many of the, workplaces are getting accreditation to this. And,
Okay.
some of them have done very well. For example, the Red Cross, Life Red Cross, and also St. John in Western Australia, they're accredited as menopause friendly workplaces. So I think there's been a lot of awareness, and employers are recognizing this, that women have to be supported in their journey through this phase of life. And things like, simple things like having what should we say, good temperature control.
Yep.
This hot flush, that's not a joke.
No, it's not.
And that can happen at any time, and that can really debilitate a woman, who's at work. So
Yep.
adequate temperature control, uniform policy of allowing, breathable spaces, allowing women to take breaks, and access to restrooms or quiet places, and enough hydration, water availability at workplaces. These are the things which are slowly, being recognized by workplaces. And I think there has been a lot of changes in most of the workplaces, and we are all trying to adapt, to that sort of thing, that women are supported in this, phase of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. So, क्या जेनेटिक्स का मेनोपॉज से कोई फर्क पड़ता है?
हाँ, सच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन सलेह जी, बिकॉज देखिए, दो चीज़ें होती हैं, जेनेटिक्स और एपिजेनेटिक्स है।
जी।
सो जेनेटिक्स का बिल्कुल मेनोपॉज से फर्क पड़ता है, इन द सेंस दैट if you know that your mom or your sister underwent through menopause at a certain age, right? And मैं ये यहाँ बताना चाहूँगी कि menopause happens a little bit earlier in our Indian population, mid 40s, late 40s, right? In an Caucasian woman, Australians may, the menopause happens at the age of 51, 51, 52, that is the average. But everybody is different. So it is governed by when the family history at which menopause happened. And the reason for that is, look, every woman has a certain amount of eggs in her ovaries, right? So the amount of eggs and the way they deplete and the time at which they deplete, which leads to decrease in estrogen concentration, is genetically governed. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
That is one important thing. Now, often epigenetics, जिसके हम lifestyle कहते हैं, change in environment, your lifestyle, your stress factors, your diet. These are also the things that can affect menopause. And, habits like excessive smoking, alcoholism, obviously these bring menopause earlier. So, yes, it is a combination of genetics and epigenetics. Some people experience menopause before the age of 45. Disco, we call it early menopause. And menopause occurring before the age of 40 is largely premature ovarian failure. And this is,
How regularly does that happen?
oh, that's quite uncommon,
Yeah,
1%
okay.
of population can have that. But look, that also has a genetic
Yes.
sort of attachment, yeah, link. Yeah.
Because I ask because many women who want to have children,
Hmm.
today it's not our age where, if you didn't get married and have children by your mid 20s, uh, you know, I remember somebody said to me, if you don't have a child by 24, it's not good enough, then and I understand you cannot look after the child, you may have issues and all of that. But today times have changed. By the time a young woman builds her career, she is in her 30s and she doesn't have time to think about marriage and children, and rearing a child is very difficult. It's not like back home where you and I come from, where you have help all the time. You have to do everything yourself.
Believe me, I have a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah,
So, the challenges are there. Nay, look, I see that every day in my practice because I see women coming in their early 30s.
yeah.
33, 34 is an average age, when they've just
Babies, yeah.
started building up their career. And
That's
they're
right.
really not wrong because, they are, all professional women. They
Yeah.
want to do well in their lives. So this is a very important thing. But when they come to me, sadly, we know that there is a decline in fertility over the age of 35. So when women, I see them even in their early 30s, and they say that, look, I cannot think about, getting pregnant for the next 2 or 3 years. That is the time when we can help them, by just doing some tests, which can check the egg reserve in the ovaries, doing a good imaging. And some of them are very open to go and see an IVF specialist to
Yes.
discuss things like egg freezing and embryo freezing. So this has really changed. Even in my practice over the last 20 years, I'm just saying that I see more and more young women come who have not, been ever pregnant and haven't really had the time to do that. And
Yes.
especially as migrants, how hard it is,
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my God, if I look back, how hard it is to rear up children and to manage, home and work and social life as well,
Yeah.
so it is not easy. So this is
Yeah.
becoming very common.
थैंक यू. सो मेनोपॉज की पहले साइंस क्या होता है, और कब वुमेन को डॉक्टर से बात करना चाहिए?
हम्म। तो मैंने जैसे कि बताया ना, मेनोपॉज इज नॉट सडन कि भाई आपके पीरियड्स एकदम बंद हो गए. इट स्टार्ट्स विथ इरेगुलर साइकिल्स, राइट? जो मंथली पीरियड्स होते हैं वो इरेगुलर होने लगते हैं. सो लुक, देर इज नो प्रॉब्लम अगर आप अपने मिड 40s लेट 40s में हो और आपके पीरियड्स इरेगुलर होने लगे, लाइक यू नॉट ब्लीडिंग एवरी मंथ, वो
Yeah.
2-3 महीने में ब्लीडिंग हो रही है. बट द प्रॉब्लम व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि यू मे नॉट ब्लीड एवरी मंथ, लेकिन ये हो सकता है कि व्हेन यू आर ब्लीडिंग फॉर 15-20 days, right? So that irregularity of cycles जब होती है and it becomes more profound bleeding, prolonged bleeding, that is one of the things you should really go and see your doctor. फिर आपके होने लगते हैं वेसोमोटर सिम्टम्स जैसे कि हॉट फ्लशेस, नाइट स्वेट्स, ब्रेन फॉग. यू नो
Brain fog is a big thing.
it's a big thing. Insomnia, brain fog. So if you're in a meeting and you suddenly forget, ki, my God, what was the topic of today's meeting?
Yep.
What's the agenda? That does happen. Insomnia comes neend aana, right? Feeling tired, joint pains. These are all the symptoms which really should say that, look, this is time to go and see your doctor. The other important thing, जो कि, which is not talked about, is vaginal dryness.
Yep.
Right? आपकी सेक्स लाइफ अफेक्ट होने लगती है बिकॉज यू आर वेरी ड्राई. यूरिनरी ट्रैक्ट इन्फेक्शंस ज़्यादा होने लगते हैं. सो ऑल दीज आर थिंग्स जो कि दे आर टेलिंग यू दैट, लुक, प्लीज गो एंड सी योर डॉक्टर, टेक अ मेडिकल ओपिनियन.
Thank you. So what are the physical and emotional symptoms, and what are some simple tips to manage them? I
सो
can tell you all that I went through and more, a lot of what you just said, but
हाँ.
I know friends who also go through a lot more.
या फिजिकल सिम्टम्स मैंने बताया कि पीरियड्स कैन बिकम इरेगुलर, आप यू फील लेथार्जिक, यू फील टायर्ड, और आप वैसे अगर आप देखोगे तो ऑल योर लेवल्स में बी नॉर्मल इन द बॉडी, बट जॉइंट पेन्स होने लगते हैं। उसके बाद आपकी इमोशनल, यू गेट वेरी इमोशनल, यू थिंक कि आई एम जस्ट गोइंग बैक टू माई टीनेज ईयर्स, राइट? कि इतने इमोशंस मुझे हो रहे हैं अराउंड माई पीरियड्स, माई हार्मोन फ्लक्चुएशंस आर सो मच, एंड ब्रेन फॉगिंग जैसे कि हमने बात करा, नींद कम आना, एंड women ऑल्सो स्टार्ट क्राइंग, अगर उनको
I was
प्रॉपर
going to say
सपोर्ट।
that that's what I used to do.
या
Just cry for no reason.
फॉर नो रीजन, एंड यहाँ पे वो है कि यू नीड somebody, you can have a shoulder to cry on. That is such an important thing.
And who
So
understands you.
yes, who understands you. So these are the things, and इसमें मैं बोलूँगी कि lifestyle modification has a very very important role. देखिए दवाइयाँ तो दूसरी तरफ हैं, but lifestyle changes, healthy lifestyle, and I would say exercise का इतना important role है, exercise in whatever form. चाहे आप जिम जाइए, चाहे आप रेगुलर स्विमिंग करिए, रेगुलर वॉक्स पे जाइए,
Yeah,
और डांस क्लासेस, योगा, पिलाटेस, all any of these, obviously we have to see whatever suits us best,
yeah.
किसकी अवेलेबिलिटी घर के पास है, अपने काम के साथ what you can easily manage. रेगुलर एक्सरसाइज एटलीस्ट 3 to 4 times a week बहुत ही ज़रूरी है। ठीक, प्रॉपर स्लीप लेना, दैट इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नाउ इसी में अगर आप चाहो तो मैं आपको बताऊंगी कि इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इन इज योर डाइटरी चेंजेस एज वेल, राइट? क्योंकि आपका कैफीन इनटेक आपको कम करना चाहिए, बिकॉज दैट कॉजेज मोर इरिटेबिलिटी, नींद आने में उसमें प्रॉब्लम होती है। स्पाइसी फूड जो होते हैं ना, दे एक्चुअली रेज द बॉडी टेम्परेचर, और वो वेसो डायलेटेशन करते हैं ब्लड वेसल से, सो उससे ये हॉट फ्लशेस वगैरह और बढ़ जाते हैं। सो लेस इंटेक ऑफ एब्सोल्यूट स्पाइसी फूड,
Food.
अल्कोहल कम करना, स्मोकिंग कम करना, दीज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड व्हेन वी स्टार्ट विद दीज थिंग्स, बेसिक थिंग्स इन लाइफ, इट makes a big change, believe me. So this is the first thing that we need to do, every woman needs to do as we are getting older.
Since we are talking about lifestyle, Preeti, I know, many of us don't have the time to go to a gym, if especially if we are going, our workplace are far from home, we have young children, but walking is something that you can do all the time.
Yes.
What do you think is the right amount of walking? Let's not measure steps. Let's do just, a time wise walking.
Yeah, look, I would say ki, 20 to 30 minutes of walking at least 2 to 3 times a week,
Yeah,
it is very essential. And I think that is even better if you walk with your friends,
yeah,
or, with your life partner, or if you can involve children as well in that, which becomes a little bit hard, they have
it
their
does.
own,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, timetables. That is very important. I would say ki 2 to 3 times a week walking, fresh air. Obviously it is governed, in a place like Melbourne, the weather can be so
Oh,
unpredictable,
yes.
but whatever you can do, ये नहीं है कि हमें सबको जिम ही जाना है, but some sort of exercise where you can be mentally free, from the daily routine and the chores, and you can just enjoy those 20 30 minutes of those moments of your life. So I would say कि 2 से 3 बार walk करना is very good as well.
Important. Yeah. I discovered I walk with my dog. So
Okay.
that's my time to also think, because it's there's nobody. I don't want to walk with anyone. I like to walk by myself, or for the last 16 years with my dog. So another thing I discovered, Preeti, which has been so helpful for me, doesn't normally happen during winters, because by the time I get back from work, it is dark. But in summers, when now when the days are getting longer and there's more sunlight, online you have 15 minutes of yoga classes, and it's all on YouTube. 15 minutes of belly burning exercise, 15 minutes of just stretches, and that has been so awesome. You just have to Google it, and it's all there on YouTube,
Mm.
and it's doable, even in between while you're cooking. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that. While you're cooking, 50, you can take out 15 minutes, or you can do 10 minutes, come back and do another 5 when you go and stir your vegetables or rice, or roti, or whatever you're
Absolutely.
doing,
Yeah.
whatever you're cooking. And
Listening to music as well,
oh yeah,
calm music, ये भी है, sometimes in the morning I just feel like listening to Gayatri mantra,
Yeah.
it is so good. आप काम करते रहते हो and Gayatri Mantra keeps, in the background. You can listen to it. So look, whatever makes you happy. For example, I'll just tell you, I live in one of the western suburbs of Melbourne, Essendon, and we have a walking group of friends. So this is all women from our area, and most of us, are professional colleagues. They're doctors. We all go on a Sunday morning walk, which I
Yeah.
missed today because of this. And after that, if we can, we go for a coffee, and that is
Yeah.
really good. You know. So that is one of whatever makes you happy. That is my
Another
suggestion.
friend of mine does a Sunday park run, and she's been doing it, and she's awesome. Also an OBG, a very, very dear friend. And every time she puts it up, and I'm like, wow, she invited us, but I think we were just too lazy to go and do an 8 kilometer walk around the lake. But yeah, she does it all the time. And what a great way to be fit. I mean, I just feel, and I was reading on National Geographic the other day, even a 2 minute walk after dinner does wonders to your health. And that's not too difficult. Backyards. I mean, most of us have backyards or just around the block. That will
Yeah,
be
of
more than
course.
2 minutes, and that is fantastic.
No, that you're really right.
Um, I know we did not talk about it. While we are talking about food, one of the things that we keep, you said lifestyle changes. One of the things I notice here amongst South Asians is that late dinner.
Mm.
We never ever had dinner on time. And I am very finicky. I have dinner between 6:30 and quarter to 7. It's also because I grew up with my nani had a very big impact in my life, and she was a widow. And in those days, Bengali widows had to eat before sunset. Also, as a Hindu widow, she had a lot of restrictions. She did not follow a lot of stuff, but she had to eat before sunset. That was one of the stipulated things. So we grew up eating before sunset,
And look,
having dinner.
yeah.
And I changed that for my husband, my children, and they all eat now by 6:30, quarter to 7, because you still have another 2 hours at least before you go to bed and you can digest. And you really don't go to bed at 6:30, right? You walk around, you do stuff. And do you think that actually makes a difference in people's lives?
Yeah, I think so. And I must say that that is one very good thing in the Western culture, which is
Yeah.
not unfortunately in our Indian culture.
But it
That
is in the Indian culture, then, Preeti, because if you grew up in a Hindu household like I did, as part of a woman who was a widow, you had to, because that's what they followed.
yes,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It really
but
helps in digestion of the food, metabolism, giving you a good sleep as well,
yeah,
right? And a little bit of, whatever activity you can do after dinner if you have time. Because if you have dinner very late, you do not have time. Yes, as you said, a walk, after dinner, it's a very good idea, actually. So yes, this is also one of the things that really makes a difference. So if we look at it, there are simple, small things which
simple,
we can
yeah.
do ourselves, right? Rather than blaming menopause, blaming hormonal changes, भाई वो तो होना ही है. You can't do anything about it.
Now let's come to our support system, because that is where I think most of us lack, where the understanding, despite the research that is going on, is so poor. Um, how can our family and friends, and especially the men and the children in our lives, how can they help? I know I could never understand my mother when she was going through menopause, because we never talk about it.
Mm.
But we are more open with our children now. We are more open with our partners now. How can they support us when we are going through menopause?
So I think the first thing is listening without judgment. That is very important because not to make nasty comments like, oh, you just have become very moody and
Yeah,
you just keep complaining. But look, lethargy, tiredness, all this is this happens as we come back from work, and then you're left with so much of household chores, right? Especially in this part of the world, we are not blessed and we do not have as much of adequate help. So again, I think life partner, he or she really has a very important role starting from here to understand that when a woman comes home after work, she is tired, she needs help. Just, setting the dinner table, doing the dishes, simple things, and then with this also comes children's responsibility. dropping, picking children, all these things are there.
The
All of
taxi
us women.
service.
Yeah, that is the taxi service goes on till they learn, get
Yeah.
their driver's license. So I think listening without judgment and partner's role is very important. The other thing is being very patient and understanding at home. It's very important, that not to make comments like that you're overreacting, you're always tired. As I said, that is a very important thing which comes from the family. And then encouraging healthy lifestyle together, as a family, very important. Go on evening walks, yoga, dance classes, cook healthy meals at home all together, and support each other, and cut down on caffeine, alcohol. Again, with each other's partner's support, we can easily do that. And then very important, for the partners to be with the woman to support her healthcare decisions. Take them, if they have a medical appointment or you see that they're struggling and they need to go and see a doctor, just be with them. Take that time off from your work. And I think these are simple things, how we can make life better.
Thank you. Um, Importantly, for many of us, how do we make workplaces more supportive?
Yes, as I said, that workplace, there's been a lot of awareness now. So, as it is workplace is being, I think employers are being, and especially like if I look at our clinic, in our clinic we have a staff of 14, and we are really supportive to our staff. I know some of them, are in that age and they feel very hot. So we've got them small fans which they can keep on the desk there. So a proper environment, working environment can really help, nurture. It will help the industry we are in grow as well if we just understand each other, right? So it comes from the employers, and because all this awareness, a lot of things are being talked about on social media. Journalists are talking about this. Politicians are talking about workplace support. So I
Yeah.
think that general awareness is really increasing now.
Thank you. Um, what is the new research that has come up, and what is it that women need to know?
Yeah. So
Menopause के treatment में.
yeah, so 20, 30 years ago, अगर आपको याद होगा कि there had been some study in the US, right? And there were quite a lot of women on hormone replacement therapy. And it was all over the headlines that hormone replacement therapies has increased the risk of breast cancer, has increased the risk of clots in the legs, lungs of women. And suddenly everyone was asked to stop their hormone replacement therapy. Now, a lot of thought was done about it, and then it was seen that it was actually a wrong age of women to commence on HRT, what we call the menopause
Yep.
hormone
Yep.
therapy. So a lot of studies and a lot of research has evolved over all these years, and there is an adequate time to start the hormone replacement therapy. And of course, we have to make sure that there are no, contraindications, for women
Yep.
to start on hormone therapy. So timely and adequately, if medication is started, there has been a lot of research about safety of hormones.
Yep.
It really helps.
I know it's helped a couple of my friends. It has really been good.
Hmm.
So yeah. Um, Diwali, today and tomorrow, festival time. And if you're a Bengali like me, Pujo has just gone. Also, the weather changing. We tend to go out a lot more, eat out, and festival season, sugar, heavy food. Does this affect hormone levels?
Look, I mean, sugar, yes, it changes the insulin resistance in the body.
Alcohol?
Yeah, and alcohol, insulin resistance in the body, weight gain, irritability, it makes you slow and lethargic.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, this time of in everyone's life, if it's only for a short time, I
Yeah.
don't think it really matters, right?
Okay.
As long as everything is done in moderation,
Yeah.
So yes, we know that these months, our festive months, this October and November is very busy, and then comes Christmas as well. We
Yeah.
know a lot of Christmas parties. But for a short amount of time, if things are taken, obviously if you're a diabetic, you have to really be cautious on how much sugar intake can you, because you don't want your blood sugars to be
Yeah.
absolutely sky high. So in a short period of time, I would say that no, it is fine. But look, yes, alcohol, sugar, caffeine, these really, affect the metabolism and hormonal fluctuations.
So, Preeti, while you talk diabetic, I suddenly just thought of something. So we do hear a lot more people going through, and a lot of women going, having diabetes and blood pressure, and
Mm.
mostly high blood pressure. So does it really affect your menopause when you're going through menopause? Being a diabetic or being a blood pressure patient, does it affect you in any way?
No, I mean, look, the only thing is, I don't think it affects menopause in the sense of its onset, whether early or.
Yeah.
But when you have a medical condition, that poses a bit of restrictions on what form of, if you need any menopause hormonal therapy, what would be the most
Okay.
suitable form which can be given to you. So obviously these are the things and then, if you're diabetic, you have insulin resistance, it is easy for you to put on weight, right? Because those are the things that we have that may be affected by
Yeah.
diabetes and hypertension. Yeah.
Okay. But otherwise, no major changes.
No major changes as such, but yes, if it's well controlled diabetes and if
Yes.
hypertension is well controlled, it should not matter. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. क्या ऐसी कोई foods है जो menopause के symptoms को worse बना सकते हैं, especially during festive times? I think we just talked about it, everything in moderation.
यस,
So,
आई मीन, लोग शुगरी फूड्स जो हैं, यस डेफिनेटली आपका, या फ्राइड फूड्स हैं या बहुत स्पाइसी फूड्स हैं, दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट कैन जस्ट इट कैन कॉज टेम्पररी चेंजेस, राइट? आपका हॉट फ्लशेस ज़्यादा हो सकता है, आपको इरिटेबिलिटी ज़्यादा है, आपको नींद कम आ रही है, सो दीज आर द सॉर्ट ऑफ फूड्स विच आर वेरी इजी टू फॉल प्रे फॉर इन द टाइम ऑफ द फेस्टिव सीजन, बट दैट इज फाइन, अगर वो मॉडरेशन में, एंड you know that if you've taken a lot of sweets the night before, you're feeling, bloated, you're feeling lethargic, so obviously you do it in moderation, that's this. But healthy foods, like
yes.
health, good amount of protein in the diet, और ये सब जो है ना, ये flax seeds, chia seeds, nuts, these are all very important. And fish, जो लोग वो सी फूड खाते हैं, fish is very important,
Oh, yes.
that is a very good source of omega 3, and
Yeah.
so these are the things that we should keep in mind.
And
Yeah.
and even if you're a vegetarian, there's so much high protein
Yes,
food that we can eat,
tofu,
isn't it? Yeah.
soy chunks,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's always fish. As a Bengali, our life starts and ends with fish. But thank you so much, Preeti, for joining me at such short notice.
Thank you.
Um, and I'm sure we will keep talking of more important women's health issues as we go along and bringing awareness.
Yeah, thanks so much, Harry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.